Alabama and Georgia play in a couple of days in the national championship, aka the SEC Championship Part 2. At first glance, when you look at the matchup, it's clear it's cut. We got the best two teams in the championship, and that's what you want to see. I don't think nobody's going to argue and try to say, oh, Alabama don't deserve to be there and neither does Georgia. Although yes, they are from the same conference and you really don't want to see a SEC Championship rematch, you can't deny the fact they're easily the best. So with that being said, you wouldn't think it's such a odd and strange matchup until you take a deeper look at things. On one hand, Alabama has the best quarterback in the country and also a pretty solid receiving core and arguably the best wide receiver in the country. For the other team in Georgia, they have a decent quarterback who can be good and maybe great here and there. Their wide receiver core doesn't really stand out at you and they don't make a lot of explosive plays. Of course, their wide receivers aren't chumps, but they're nothing like a Jameson Williams for Alabama. When you take a look at the running back play, although Georgia maybe has more star talent, I would say it's fairly equal. Taking a look at the defenses, I would say Georgia has the best defense in the country and it's not even close. However, where I think it gets a little more intriguing is Alabama defense has felt disrespected, and I think they're way better than what some people give them credit for. I've said it all year long. The defense has been bad at times, and I mean really bad. But at other times, they've also looked pretty good. All throughout this season, Alabama's defense has been inconsistent, and I think that's fair to say. But what is kind of scary, and I'd be scared of if I was a Georgia fan, over the past 4 to 5 weeks, their defense is hitting their peak and hitting their prime. When you take a look at what they did against LSU, Auburn, Georgia in the championship, and Cincinnati, they've looked really good and I'd say even great. Whoa, hold on. Before we go any farther, you're probably sitting there. Yo, Matt, the title of this video is Alabama is in major trouble. And yes, they are. Why is Alabama and Nick Saban in major trouble? It's not 1, 2, 3, or 4 things. It is a ton of things we're going to talk about. I hope you guys are as excited to get into this video as I am. As always, if you're new to the channel, I'd greatly appreciate if you join our family and hit that subscribe button. In a video I posted over a week ago, I said let's see how many new subscribers we can gain, and we gained something like 690. Let's do it again on this video. If you're not subscribed or simply new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and in a video in a couple of days, I'll tell you how many we gained. And now without further ado, let's get into it. I have to throw this disclaimer in there. We got new people coming to the channel every day, and a bunch of you already know this, but I am an Alabama fan. The reason I had to say that and bring it up before I get into what I'm about to say is because some Alabama fans may be thinking, oh, you're a Georgia fan or an Alabama hater. No, I'm not. I'm actually a fan. I'm not one of those fans who lives in fairy tale land where I think my team's gonna win every single game. I just tell you how it is, and unfortunately in this video, I gotta tell you the truth. There's a lot of places I could start with this video and tell you why Alabama's in trouble, but I'm gonna start here. Around 4 weeks ago, I made a video titled, Georgia is in big trouble. In that said video, I predicted and I said Alabama was gonna come out and play with a fire burning inside them and shock the world. And to make an extremely long story short, you can check that video out for yourself. I was right on everything I said. You would think the Georgia and Alabama game, there's not gonna be that big of a difference. They played 4 to 3 weeks ago and they're great teams. However, I beg to differ. This ball game will be completely different and it's not going to look anything like the SEC Championship. Georgia is in the same exact shoes Bama was only a few weeks ago, except for this Georgia team right now in the championship is completely different. Yo, Matt, what do you mean they're completely different? It's the same players. Yes, I agree with you 100%, but here's the thing. Kirby and his players, they would never say it or admit it, but the SEC Championship didn't mean that much to them. I'm not going to go as too far as you saying it didn't mean anything whatsoever, but it wasn't high on their list. They're not worried about an SEC Championship, they're worried about the national title. Kirby, his players, his entire staff, and Georgia fans deep down knew if they didn't win that game, they're still getting to the playoff. Not just in football, basketball, baseball, sports, or anything in life. You typically perform better when your back is against the wall. For that reason right there, that is why I predicted Alabama to win that game. It was either win or go home. Why did Alabama come out and dominate Georgia on the defensive side and offensive side? Because it was either win or they're not getting to the playoffs. Georgia was a little, how do I say it? What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say lazy, but a little not motivated. There's no motivation. You beat Alabama, you go to the playoff. You lose, you still go to the playoff. It was almost like a practice game to Georgia to fill out and see how Alabama's going to play them. I hate to label the freaking SEC championship a practice game, but that's how it was. If you watch that video, why did I predict Alabama was going to win, and what did I continue to emphasize? Number one, like I said, their backs against the wall. And number two, every single person in the country, every ESPN analyst was doubting Alabama and Nick Saban, and that is a big no-no. You can't do that. I've said it before. There's 4 people I never count out. LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, and Nick Saban. You can't bet against them. It's almost like a cardinal sin. I wouldn't say the tables have turned all too much because last time I checked, Georgia is a favorite in this game. As to when I'm filming and making this video, they are currently a 2-point favorite. Even though technically they're still a favorite, the stakes, they're on a whole nother level. We're talking about the national championship. Oh yeah, I can't forget to mention, there's also a little motivation for these Georgia players considering Alabama has embarrassed them the last 4 to 5 matchups. The embarrassing part isn't Alabama's won, it's the way they've done it. They've trailed by double digits in I believe 3 or 4 of the games. Leading up to this game, what is the remedy being that ESPN analysts are saying, your friends are saying, and everybody on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you go? All everybody is saying is, oh, Georgia can't get over that mental hump. Kirby Smart, he can't get over it. His players, they don't have it in them to beat Alabama. As an Alabama fan, that scares me. I like it better when we're the underdog. We've only been an underdog 2 or 3 times, but each and every time we have, we've dominated the competition. I'm sure some of you watching this, you either A, currently play high school or college sports, or B, you have in the past. I'm going to ask you a serious question. When do you get hyped up more? When you're the favorite to win or the underdog and you're not supposed to win? I think we can all agree we're going to be more motivated and more fired up with literally a fire burning inside of us if people are doubting us. Would I go as too far as to say a lot of people are doubting Georgia? I don't know, but here's one thing I will say. They hear the rumors from their fans and everybody across the country. They definitely paid attention to and heard the critics after that championship game against Alabama a couple of weeks ago. Look what they did against Michigan. You guys know I think Jim Harbaugh is a complete fraud and Michigan was a fraud. You beat Ohio State, but history repeats itself. Jim Harbaugh will always disappoint in the big time games. I'm going to take that Michigan win with a grain of salt, but I'm still not going to take anything away from their program. Michigan wasn't a bad team. For Georgia to completely disassemble that team and make them look like a JV high school football team, it kind of scares me. Why do they play so good? There's 2 reasons and it's very simple. Reason number 1, they have more 4 and 5-star recruits. And reason number 2, they were pumped up and motivated. Michigan wasn't motivated for that game. They were still celebrating the Ohio State win from 4 to 5 weeks ago. Why does Alabama beat 90% of their opponents? Because of the mental and fear factor of the name and the brand. Nick Saban and Alabama beats almost 90% of their opponents before they even step onto the field. I also picked Alabama and Georgia to win their semifinal games for this main reason. They have experience, and that matters a ton in the playoff. Whenever Alabama has struggled with a team in the playoff or lost to, the other said team has experience. Look at Clemson. I wouldn't say Clemson has Alabama's number, but they've beaten them their fair share of times. Fast forward in time to the 2022 championship, Georgia has experience, and they also have the athletes to compete and beat Alabama. If you want to be technical about it, I said it in the video 4 weeks ago. Georgia has a better team and better players than Alabama this year. The only reason Alabama beat them is because they have a better quarterback and they have a better coach. In 2021, how I really predict my games is based off of the quarterback and the coach. You can't have a terrible defense. As long as you have a mediocre defense and a good coach and a good quarterback, you could literally win a championship. Look at LSU and Joe Burrow. That LSU team didn't even have a good defense. They were okay, but their offense carried them, especially with Burrow throw in their 2 wide receivers. I said all that so I could inform you and give you my perspective on why I'm about to make the decision and pick I'm about to. What also scares me, and anybody that has coached at a high level or played at a high level knows this, it is extremely hard to beat a good team twice. I don't know what it is, there's just something to it, it's hard to do it. Look what happened with LSU and Alabama in 2011. LSU beat them in the regular season, and Alabama destroyed them in the championship. Beating another team twice, especially one as good as Georgia, is so hard mentally and physically. Let me make this clear. Am I saying Alabama's going to have a letdown? No, they will not have a letdown. It's more of I'm saying Georgia is going to perform at their best. If you're an Alabama fan, you should be scared, and I'll give you 2 good reasons. Reason number 1, Georgia's defense absolutely flies all over the ball. Their linebackers, Nakobe Dean, can cover wide receivers if they need to. Nakobe Dean's not going to cover Jameson Williams the entire game, but if he's in the slot lined up with one, he can stick with them. That does concern me a little. If Alabama's offensive line can hold up again and give Bryce Young all the time in the world, oh, Alabama's going to win it, no question. I just do not like that scenario, and I could not see that happening again. Georgia's defensive coordinator is going to blitz the entire game, and if he doesn't, he's an idiot. The last and final, I'd even say the key piece, the main piece, whatever you want to call it, the reason Alabama is in major trouble is Stetson Bennett. Who would have thought Matt B. Great would say Stetson Bennett is the reason Georgia beats Alabama? I don't know. Whoa, Matt, did you just say Georgia is going to beat Alabama? And yes, I did. I've been really watching college football and paying attention to it for 14 to 15 years, almost around the time Nick Saban got to Alabama, and I've never felt like we were going to lose a game, and I never picked against Alabama and Nick Saban. Up until the championship. And I'm talking about this one. I am picking Georgia to beat Alabama. I know some of you are sitting there saying, yo, Matt, I thought you said you never pick against Nick Saban, and that's a cardinal sin. I gotta go with my gut feeling. I'm sorry, I have to, and that's what my gut's telling me. Let's take a look at the first time he played Alabama last year. He went 18 for 40, had 250, 2 touchdowns to 3 costly interceptions, and I would say he cost them the game. Georgia's defense got steamrolled by Mac Jones and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, but Bennett didn't do him no favors. Taking a look at what happened a couple of weeks ago, he went 29 for 48, had 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 costly interceptions, one of those being a pick 6. If you didn't watch the game, you're probably saying, those numbers, they're decent and they're very deceiving. He got a lot of those yards when the game was out of reach. When the game mattered and Georgia needed him to make big time plays, he couldn't deliver. I do not see, and it'd be hard for me to imagine him having 3 straight bad games against Alabama. 2 is understandable, but the way he's been playing outside of the Bama games, I'm not going to say he's a Heisman contending quarterback, but he's been good. What's really hurt his legacy at Georgia is how poorly he's played against Alabama. Outside of that, he's been good. If Georgia does fall behind 10-0, 14-3, 21-7, anything like that, I don't see him coming back. The key for Georgia isn't the running backs. You would probably assume, oh, they got to get the running backs going. I disagree. I think you got to get Stetson Bennett going early. You're not going to see this soft approach Kirby Smart and Todd Monken have used the past 2 times where they don't let Stetson Bennett throw the ball until the game is out of reach. I believe you're going to see Georgia, Kirby Smart, Todd Monken, whoever's calling the plays, they are going to attack Alabama from quarter 1 to quarter 4. There's not going to be none of these 2-yard passes. I think you're going to see the 15-yarders, the mid-ranges he's good at, and maybe a deep ball here and there. Whether Georgia jumps out early and fast or it's an even game, I believe they're going to continue to let Bennett throw the ball. They've had a lot of problems in the past because when they get these double-digit leads, they let Bennett quit throwing and they run the ball and it's just a stagnant offense. I'm a big believer in destiny. Everything's leading up to this game being the year for Georgia and Stetson Bennett to shock the world and beat Alabama. It's going to be a great game. Sadly, I hate to say it, and as much as I hate to say it, I got Georgia winning. I've never picked against Nick Saban in my life, and for one time on this channel, I hope I'm wrong. I'm telling you, it just feels like the year for Georgia to win it. And that don't mean I want Georgia to win it. I'm not some secret Georgia fan. I hope Alabama goes out there and we annihilate them. Whatever happens, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of a sad video because I'm picking Georgia. Let me know your thoughts down below. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.